Carolina. This has been a phenomenal day of basketball here in the second round, and it continues. 3 more games still to close out the night. Medina Okat on the interior walks with it, and a traveling violation to begin. Let's look at tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Capital One. And for USC, they were just talking about it in the studio, Stephanie. Jazzy Davidson was so good. Kara Dunn was really good late. And then who else steps up offensively for the Trojans?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Kennedy Smith. I think she's got to be somebody that's an offensive option. We know she can lock it down on the defensive end of the floor. But my question for Southern California is, do they have enough offensive weapons for this high-powered South Carolina team?
A team for South Carolina that scores 87 points per game. Joyce Edwards, second-team All-American. Raven Johnson, a third-team All-American. And here is Edwards, who had it roll off.
Chào bạn, hãy cùng hít một hơi thật sâu và bắt đầu hành
give a team like South Carolina multiple possessions.
Plus 24 for South Carolina. Back in the middle of November, they played at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, a game that was branded as the battle for the real SC. It was a top 10 matchup at the time. South Carolina won it by 17, but it was a 2-point game at halftime. And USC tasked with a huge opponent tonight in a 1-seed South Carolina.
Well, South Carolina held USC to 1 of 14 from the 3-point line. Dawn Staley said that is something that concerns her. They cannot afford to let Southern California get going from the 3-point line.
Leah Samuels at the control. Second straight start for her with London Jones coming off the bench. Kennedy Smith, you mentioned she's got to score it. 11.5 points per game, but missed it in close. If you check out the Gamecocks starters, high-powered lineup. Tanaya Latson, last year's leading scorer in the country at Florida State. And then Raven Johnson, her final game here at Colonial Life Arena across 5 seasons. Latson rises, too strong from deep. Another offensive rebound, and 4 early for Okat.
2 contested shot attempts, 2 offensive rebounds. Lindsey Gottlieb not going to be happy. Her team in that area.
Here's Jazzy Davidson. She was phenomenal in just about every way in her Ncaa tournament debut Saturday against Clemson. Dealing with the pressure, defense turned it over.
Hey, how about this crowd? Really loving the one-on-one pressure. Look, when you play for Dawn Staley, defense is not optional.
Really pleased with their defensive effort Saturday against the 16th seed in Southern. SWAC champions for a 32-win South Carolina team with just the 3 losses this year. Edwards does the assignment on Kara Dunn to begin. A double came from Davidson, but Edwards kept it alive. Swing it around, Raven Johnson can't hit. Laura Williams the rebound for Southern Cal. Samuels can really push tempo for the women of Troy. Dunn defended well by Tessa Johnson. Williams got behind Okat, but missed it. The lid's still on the bucket for USC. Latson running. Edwards tried to save it, and coming right into our kitchen at midcourt. It goes back to USC.
Well, where USC is going to find success is in transition. That means you have to get a defensive board. You have to be able to get out. They might not be able to turn South Carolina over at the same rate they're able to turn some other teams over. But if South Carolina forces them to play in the quarter court, USC is going to have a problem.
That's why you feel like you got to get stops, you got to get rebounds so you can score getting out and
so
running.
You can run. And you see Okat's going to stand right in the middle of the lane. She's going to play center field.
0 of 3 shooting the start for Southern Cal. There's Raven Johnson, who's closing in on 1,000 points for her career, too. Edwards against Dunn, scores it, and a 6-0 start for South Carolina.
And I like right away, you see the mismatch. Kara Dunn is going to be tasked with handling Joyce Edwards. Joyce Edwards going to the back to the basket.
Samuels looking for somewhere to go. Kennedy Smith, former 6th overall recruit, left her jumper short, and then Williams commits a foul on Tessa Johnson.
Multiple times down the floor, Joyce Edwards getting those touches on the interior, going to work against Kara Dunn down low. That time the double team doesn't come. She has one-on-one, and she takes advantage.
we were kind of wondering at shoot-around today who would guard Joyce Edwards, and they do start Cara Dunn on her.
Yeah, I think Cara Dunn can guard her from a mobility standpoint, but certainly gives up a little bit from a size standpoint. I think Joyce Edwards understanding right now, I have an opportunity close to the rim to get position, and if a double team comes and she just gets it up off the backboard, there's an offensive rebound opportunity.
There she is going to work in the post again. Backing down Dunn and scoring again. And it's 8-0 Gamecocks.
I think it's a tough matchup. If you're going to play behind in the post, if you're going to allow Joyce Edwards to get those touches and back down, at some point I think USC is probably going to change that.
Illegal screen set by Vivian Iwuchukwu.
And you see this possession again, you get it just time off the block, but what does Joyce Edwards do? She goes to backing her down. Again, the double team is not coming, and she can just elevate right over to
Smith. And Lindsay Gottlieb said to us, well, we really want ball pressure on Raven Johnson, so they deemed a premier defender and Smith more valuable on Raven Johnson, at least at the outset. Lindsay Gottlieb said they probably would change things around. Tania Latson off target, but another Okada offensive rebound. Johnson sticks the J. What a start for South Carolina. Smith, baseline jumper, no. Loose ball, and Raven Johnson in a battle for.
Raven Johnson is going to be tasked with guarding Jazzy Davidson. I like it when they cut her.
She went backdoor on Johnson, who had the hard denial, but Davidson missed it. Edwards grab and go. The kick, McKeer swirls one out. And a good block out from Diana Mendez, who gave it away to McKeer.
Ball pressure, entry passes aren't easy. You can see they're guarding whoever the 5 player is. Miriam Dowder right now just sitting in the paint, playing center field.
Jones had it ripped away by Latson. Gamecocks on the break. Latson popped it up to London Jones.
Good transition defense from South Carolina. Not giving up anything easy.
Smith knocks down a long 2, and 6 minutes into the game, finally Southern Cal's on the board. South Carolina in pursuit of what would be a 6th straight Final Four. They're a 1 seed for the 6th year in a row. Edwards kept it and backs it out for Tania Latson. Latson had it poked away. Good defense by Jazzy Davidson. And a foul goes against South Carolina, who's had a fabulous start to this game, trying to punch a ticket to the Sweet 16 against Oklahoma. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? The second round is presented by Intuit TurboTax. Now this is taxes.
Behind basketball stars like AZ Fudd are Geico's 24/7 claim support.
And Jazzy Davidson there was awesome.
She was terrific, and it's one of those plays that, you know, you hate to see it in like that, but certainly glad the officials went to the monitor, got the right call, and Jazzy Davidson just took over in overtime. Back-to-back threes. I mean, you see it in the numbers right there. First freshman with 35 and 5 in a debut in the last 25 years. I mean, this is a special young talent, held to single digits. 8 points the first time these two teams met, one of only 2 single-digit games she's had all season long. But the growth of this young lady in this program and to step up in that moment was huge for USC.
Lindsay Gottlieb said afterward, she's running out of adjectives to describe Jazzy Davidson. London Jones a miss, and South Carolina by 11, and they've got Maddie McDaniel running the point in off the bench. Averages 21 minutes per game and didn't play Saturday due to sickness, so it's good to see the one they call Mouse, Maddie McDaniel, is back and available, playing some minutes off the bench for Don Staley.
More offensive rebounds for South Carolina. I need to see more toughness on the glass, and she's hoping to get some momentum for their offense on the perimeter, especially drawing up some plays for Jazzy Davidson to try to get her going.
Still just the one-shot attempt from Jazzy Davidson, and then it's the 4 offensive rebounds for South Carolina.
I mean, I think it's tough. South Carolina's a long team. They're very athletic. They can go over the top of you. It is the discipline and the toughness to making a commitment to putting contact on someone.
Kennedy Smith knocks down another jump shot. She hasn't shot it great from 3, but she does seem more comfortable in the mid-range.
And Kennedy Smith is the one we talked about. Needs to be an important part on the offensive end for USC. Carradine saddled with those 2 early fouls.
Tessa Johnson pulls and knocks it down. The SEC's best 3-point shooters on the board.
And that was a tough contest. I mean, Tessa Johnson just coming up. We talked on Saturday about her needing to be more aggressive, hunting her shots early. She knocks that one down.
South Carolina runs, and Johnson had it roll off. Edwards, another offensive rebound. That rolled off, and then it got McKeer saves it. 3 looks at it for the Gamecocks, and Joyce Edwards will go to the line. That's got to be exasperating for Lindsey Gottlieb.
It absolutely is, because these USC players just turning around, not making contact. But watch this, Tessa Johnson uses the ball screen. It's a late switch, but it's still a good contest. She just uses the little sidestep.
Game, her shooting, and also just kind of the energy she brings.
She brings energy. I mean, you see it in practice. You know, she's always got a smile on her face. She's bringing a lot of energy to her teammates. Very positive voice on the floor.
Ken Mulkey famously asked earlier this year, who can guard Tessa? Chloe Kitts was rocking that shirt in pregame warm-ups for South Carolina here tonight. Gamecocks by 16, final 2 minutes in the opening quarter. London Jones being dogged by McDaniel, stayed persistent to the basket.
London Jones gets a shot to fall right there, but just a lot of one-on-one dribbling for USC. Not a lot of ball and player movement.
And then real easy for Joyce Edwards. She's cooking early on with 9. London Jones, the UCLA transfer, known for her work from outside the arc, set up Gerda Roshatite, the junior off the bench from Lithuania, her first year of college ball with the Trojans.
And that was good work right there. Little drop pass into the pocket. Probably the easiest shot USC's had up to this point.
And a foul comes away from the ball against Southern Cal. So that's 2 on one of the beloved teammates on this team. Senior from Bentonville, Arkansas, her 2nd year with the program after transferring in from her individual. And knocks down both. Medina Ncaa at 6'6" returns for the Gamecocks. So a little more offensive traction here for Southern Cal, trying to build on this at the end of the first. And Kara Dunn in the game with her 2 fouls. Kennedy Smith draws a foul against Ncaa.
I love when South Carolina gets to their switching and you see Medina Ncaa at 6'6" get in the stance and defend a guard one-on-one.
He is nimble. There's so much upside with 11 in the white. Samuels off the bounce. Couldn't get it to go, and cleared by Ncaa. Raven Johnson knifed into the paint and backs it out for Tessa Johnson. 20 seconds separating game and shot clocks. High ball screen. Raven Johnson, too strong. Ncaa cleans it up.
That's what happens when you have to help on a ball screen. You get a commitment, it opens up an offensive rebound opportunity.
It's 11 second chance points for South Carolina.
Looking for the ball, you're not going to out-jump South Carolina. You have to be committed to putting a body on somebody.
Final 6 seconds in the first quarter. Tessa Johnson off the bounce, strong take. Ncaa another offensive rebound, but cannot trigger to close out the first quarter. That is dominant.
On a team that has positional size, they have length at every position. They do a great job of attacking the offensive glass. average over 13 a ball game. And if you're USC, you've got to be really committed and disciplined to putting a body on someone and boxing out. And you can live with the shots that South Carolina's getting, but the missed shots, they can't afford to be 80% offensive rebounds.
Jazzy Davidson is scoreless in this game for a Trojans team that only has 2 rebounds in total.
To doing, but to get some player movement, to get some screening, to get some ball reversals, and hopefully open up higher percentage looks.
Kennedy Smith really trying to apply some pressure on the ball too with Raven Johnson. Caught underneath, and a foul is called against Southern Cal. And how about the impact Medina has had so far? Senior at 6'6", out of Kenya, the Mississippi State transfer, was second-team SEC. Top rebounder in the conference, 13 and 11 per game, and she's got 8 already.
Talk about a player who's continued to improve throughout the course of the season. Dawn Staley said, she just really, when she got here, didn't understand what it meant to be coached like this and held to this standard. Last 10 games, she's had 8 double-doubles, averaged 14 points and almost 13 rebounds.
8 points to go along with her 8 boards. And South Carolina also has made a living at the free throw line. Laura Williams on a nice feed from Kennedy Smith.
Yeah, Kennedy Smith right now has been a primary playmaker. She's scoring on her own. That time she created an opportunity for Williams.
Smith known for her work defensively. She was on the Big Ten all-defense team. Agat McKeer backed it out for Okot. Raven Johnson. McKeer gets bumped by Jazzy Davidson, and that's 2 on the superstar freshman, just like Kara Dunn in this first half of the Trojans. Trojans are just going to have to play through it. Davidson stays in. South Carolina subs. Joyce Edwards back into the game, and the 6'7" French freshman Alicia Cornebis into the game, bottom right of your screen.
And going right back to Joyce Edwards in the post-up. You see that time Laura Williams in a shallow gap, trying to take away a driving lane.
Johnson hits from the corner. Two points away from 1,000 for her career. Jazzy Davidson, tough shot, no. And it'll stay at this end of the floor.
Raven Johnson, 5th year here in this South Carolina uniform, playing in this gym for what is going to be the last time. I love the way that Raven Johnson has started to really take those open threes. I mean, this is a player that was challenged 2 years ago in the Final Four. They came back and won a national championship, and a year ago, Dawn Staley challenged her again. Thought that she celebrated that national championship a little bit too long. Has been the heart and soul. 141 wins at South Carolina for Raven Johnson. That's second in program history.
It's incredible. Kennedy Smith gets one to go out of the corner. Raven Johnson, from 2017, her high school career to now, Dawn Staley will tell you, Raven Johnson has lost 14 basketball games in that time.
She's a winner.
Edwards took it back from an unsuspecting Kara Dunn. Edwards, kick out, Tessa Johnson. No. And the rebound secured by Laura Williams. Kennedy Smith, nice scoop to the basket, and she's been excellent offensively.
She has really taken ownership and put it on her shoulders right now. Playing with the ball in her hands, attacking the rim.
See the 9 points for Kennedy Smith, more than half the USC production. Edwards spinning again, not done with 2 more. And Joyce Edwards is up to 11, and Southern Cal needs a timeout.
Advantage, but toughness needs to balance that out. Staying tough and aggressive, we cannot give up, guys.
She said there's got to be grit against this big South Carolina team. Ncaa walks with it, and it goes back to Southern Cal.
And there also has to be discipline. You know, I think there's physicality, there's toughness certainly, but there also has to be discipline to making contact on a box out. It's so easy, and you see it so often where players just turn and try to go get the ball. Every step you take in the Ncaa tournament, every top team that you play requires more discipline, more consistency, more energy, more effort, more attention to detail.
Pick and pop, Kara Dunn off the mark, and then Samuels couldn't clutch a would-be offensive rebound. Yeah, Lindsay Gottlieb said to us, our guards really have to help out with rebounding. And then she said, our bigs just have to compete underneath. Five to go until halftime, and South Carolina up by 15 on Southern Cal. Again, they sag off Ncaa. She's been shooting it all right from three recently. And this one goes back to the Trojans. So, USC has settled in a bit offensively, but South Carolina still up by double figures here in Columbia.
Automatically forced rotation.
So watch Jazzy Davidson, 9 off the wing, and they don't even get her a touch. Trying to set things up as Raven Johnson kicked it, the SEC Defensive Player of the Year.
And look, the South Carolina attention to detail defensively is there. They are on point. They are pressuring the basketball. They are taking away passing lanes.
Joyce Edwards still working on Kara Dunn and draws a third foul on USC's Kara Dunn, their number 2 scorer.
Yeah, that's the other adjustment I'd like to see made is changing that matchup. And you know, Kara Dunn now has been taken out of an offensive flow because she's saddled with these early foul trouble. Now this third, they've been continuing. South Carolina has continued to get Joyce Edwards touches against that matchup. Bring some more size, bring some more length.
Well, I should say that they gave it to Kennedy Smith.
Oh.
So this helps out USC. It looked like it. Smith does have 2. So you got Davidson, Smith, and Dunn, all with 2, USC's 3 best players. Edwards made both. She's got 13 points in this first half. Kennedy Smith on the drive. Tough shot. No. Cleaned up by Roshitite. And Davidson connects from D.
Well, an offensive rebound. What happens on an offensive rebound? Defense is scrambling.
Latson leaked out ahead of the pack and gets 2. Davidson feeling it. Too strong. Raven Johnson the run out for South Carolina. Latson in transition, lays it in. Back-to-back buckets for Tania Latson, her first points tonight. London Jones takes Latson off the bounce, lost the handle. Edwards fouled by Davidson, and that's 3 on Jazzy Davidson.
Staying vertical, staying disciplined to that. But that's a tough one when you're coming back in transition, trying to defend one-on-one. You know, the best transition defense is good offensive execution, and USC has not been able to have much of that in this first half.
And Joyce Edwards, the split at the line. South Carolina's made a living at the free throw strike, 14 of 16. McKeer, the pickpocket on Samuels. Latson hauls it in and drops it in.
There's so much over dribbling. You know, there's a difference in dribbling with purpose, dribbling to draw, dribbling to attack the rim, and, you know, again, the length. I got McKeer, her long arms, able to get in there, get a hand on that, and South Carolina able to get out in transition. The South Carolina team that averages almost 20 points a game in transition. I asked Dawn Staley about that, and she said, you know, we've always wanted to play fast. We just haven't had the horses to do it, and now she's got great guards who want to play fast. who are scorers in transition in the open court. And she said Ncaa Latson is one of those. She has allowed us the ability to play faster.
Smith spins one out. Yeah, Ncaa Latson's got an easy 6 in the last 90 seconds, all in transition. Jazzy Johnson couldn't finish. Another Southern Cal turnover to Raven Johnson. She told us it felt like 3 days in one, and she said, I needed it. But because of that, she has come into this year and had so much confidence, especially shooting the ball.
It takes. You can't cheat the game. Right, you can't cheat the game. It takes what it takes. It's nice to have those Atlanta connections with Aunt Evans.
McKeer on another run out. Takes it herself.
And I like that. That timeout, Lindsay Gottlieb wanted to run something specific, try to get a high percentage look, and Dawn Staley changes up her defense to the 1-3-1. The play likely was drawn up to go against a man-to-man defense.
Inside of 90 seconds to go until halftime. And a foul away from the ball goes against Southern Cal. It's on Diana Mendez. South Carolina's had runs in this game of 13-zip. That was to start the game, and then right now an 11-0 run for the Gamecocks. 2 NCAA tournament games so far. They've looked dominant in 3 halves. Tessa Johnson again. You've been watching here on ESPN these last 3 hours. UConn and now South Carolina look pretty good. Ncaa follows it up, and it got McKeer slow to get up for South Carolina. Just now back into the play, coming back down the court. Done no. Ncaa already her 11th rebound. About 6.5 seconds separating game and shot clocks. Edwards has been excellent offensively this half. Held ball will give it back to the Trojans. From the lip reading department, Dawn Staley says she grabbed her. Not going to win that one.
Well, as tightly as it's been called much of the first half, I'm surprised there wasn't one called there.
Final shot of the half belongs to USC or not. Smith got stripped. McKeer, Edwards, no. And that does it on a utterly dominant first half from 1 seed South Carolina in their final. In the first half for the Trojans. Samuels had it poked away. Gets on the board for USC. And maybe a little bit of both from Joyce Edwards, who is that good, just like she was in the first round Saturday.
Well, Joyce Edwards frustrated with herself for missing that layup before heading into halftime. I mean, you talk about a young lady who is taking her game to another level. I mean, her numbers show it. Averaging almost 20 points a ball game, up from just under 13 a year ago.
Laura Williams couldn't haul in the bounce feed from Malia Samuels. And frustration percolating some more for USC. Raven Johnson, a 2-player game with Joyce Edwards. And a foul goes against the Trojans.
Yeah, Joyce Edwards.
Smith. Can you front? Like, I guess you think of it more with a 5 than a 4. Can you front her?
I mean, you got to try to keep her from getting the basketball. You confront her, and you got to come with heavy help from the backside. You got to deny a high post entry so that you can't just go right into a high-low. But there's a combination of different things that have to happen. Got to be better ball pressure on the passer to not allow it to be so easy. I mean, South Carolina's ball pressure is forcing USC to put the ball on the floor, to dribble. It's not allowing them to just see passing lanes. And that's the kind of ball pressure you got to come with.
Andrea and Ncaa and Christine, they were breaking it down in the studio. And then you got Raven Johnson, just the head of the snake defensively and imposing her will and her energy.
Just hounding. I mean, it's relentless, and, you know, and it's multiple levels of effort.
Shot clock at 6 for Kennedy Smith. Looking for somewhere to go. Just disjointed offensive possessions for USC. Lindsey Gottlieb goes to the bench for Vivian Iwuchukwu. And you just heard Molly say it. Lindsey Gottlieb saying it's about pride for them right now as well.
Yeah, and competitive spirit. And right now, and part of this is due to South Carolina's defense, but USC looks like a team of 5 individuals on the offensive end, everybody trying to do it on their own. When a team is at their best, the ball is moving. Yes, you got to find ways to get higher percentage shots for Jazzy Davidson, run actions, but you also have to be willing passers and willing to move the ball from side to side.
And then at the other end, there's just been no way to keep Medina Ncaa off the boards.
I mean, she's a matchup nightmare. She's got the size, she's got the physicality, she's got really good instincts. There are some people who just have a nose for the ball. She has that. Her timing is a...
That one forced a 4th foul on Kennedy Smith, so not even 3 minutes into the second half, and Kennedy Smith goes to the bench with 4, and South Carolina cooks up the baseline out of bounds for Joyce Edwards. Done. Tough shot, no. 14 Medina Ncaa rebounds after she had 15 in the first meeting. Rhythm 3. Gets the roll. Everything coming up Gamecocks tonight. Samuels dropped it off for Iwuchukwu, who then couldn't connect with Mendez. Latson leads. And might have been trying to skip that. Instead, Davidson the takeaway. Davidson attacks and finishes. Strong drive. First 2-point bucket for Jazzy Davidson, who's got 8 now after the 31 in her NCAA tournament debut Saturday. It was, and it goes back to USC.
And Medina Ncaa right here, they've been outside. The defense has been broken down. It's a spray. There are rhythm threes and there are overthinking threes.
Davidson, wow!
Nice.
Jazzy Davidson cans another 3. Says let's go to her bench.
Gets a clean look off of the ball screen.
Davidson was calling for help. Iwuchukwu trying to do so, and Edwards just going to work.
The cat and mouse was there with Iwuchukwu. She was doing a good job. Your help is to the middle of the floor right there. And Joyce Edwards reads it. She doesn't.
During Don Staley's 18 years here.
Pretty incredible. So many comparisons. Joyce Edwards to Asia Wilson.
And Edwards still just a sophomore.
And grew up with a ball kid here and idolized Asia Wilson. And now you get an opportunity to live out your dream close to home. And a lot of parallels between those two.
London Jones with the air ball sends us to a timeout. More of the same in the second half for South Carolina.
Level, you're right, and Kamora Johnson, again, another local product that stayed home, wanted to elevate the program at UVA to where it once was, and now an opportunity to play in the Sweet 16. It's really cool when you get to see players who could go elsewhere, who choose to stay home, who choose to rebuild a program, find success. And UVA, Dawn Staley's alma mater, where she was an All-American. I mean, it's really incredible. Coach Mox and her staff have done an outstanding job.
It was such a resilient effort. Yeah, and you saw how the bracket shakes out. So it is TCU and Virginia. That's in the bottom left of the bracket. That's Regional 4 Sacramento. So as far as South Carolina is concerned, the 2 seed in their regional is out in Iowa.
And what an effort. Again, UVA, 3 wins. The first team to play in the first four to advance to a Sweet 16. And they had some battles, overtime ball games. Hawkeyes had a tough shooting tournament.
Yeah, not bad as far as throw factor goes for Virginia. First round overtime against Georgia, and then you go double OT against Iowa. Edwards again with a chance at 3.
So you've gotten it to her on the post-up. Now you put her in the 2-man. Tessa Johnson does a good job of drawing the secondary defender, a late rotation. Joyce Edwards can...
...of the year. Last year came off the bench, of course, as a freshman, but still averaged 13 points per game. And now 20 a game in year 2. Roshatite, the offensive rebound for Southern Cal.
And now look at the different look that Jazzy Davidson's got McKeer with her length.
Watson running. And here is the length of McKeer. And the freshman's played well this weekend.
We got McKeer the last 2 ball games heading into tonight. Averaging 12.5 points, shooting at 63% from the floor. Dawn Staley says she's the best guard that we have. Most talented. Her playmaking, her length, talented enough to get on the court. And once she understands the consistency that you have to have every day in practice, the sky's the limit.
Length is a problem. Number 6 recruit in the country from Ontario. 3 to go, third quarter from Colonial Life Arena. Latson elbow. Eight points for Tania Latson. Davidson got it down low, and Milton missed it at the rim.
That was a great look by Jazzy Davidson.
Tornabese lays it in. Everyone's getting involved for the Gamecocks. London Jones, no. McKeer saw it. Johnson on the receiving end. Timeout, Southern Cal. Absolute dominance from the Gamecocks at home.
UCLA.
Really has. Davidson misses out of the timeout. By the way, how good is Duke LSU going to be?
Oh, another rematch.
Oh,
Yeah, Duke has the round of rematches in the NCAA tournament. Baylor had gotten them first game of the year in Paris, and they were able to take care of Baylor, and now an opportunity to get LSU as well.
I remember it was that 3-6 start for Duke, Tara Lawson's team, and then
through the gauntlet.
They turned it around. Yeah, it was such a hard schedule
Yes.
in those first 9 games. And
Working some of those players that were back from injury as well, trying to get them their rhythm and timing. Riley Nelson, Ariana Robertson.
it's going to be a great Sweet 16. McKeer missed it, and a held ball will bring it back the other way, and then players pulled apart on the baseline. Well, how do you size up South Carolina big picture? I mean, we know how good all the 1 seeds are. We just watched UConn before our game. Gino Auriemma was saying that their first half was about as good a half as he can remember from any of his teams in recent years. UCLA we just touched on, and then Texas took 2 out of 3 from South Carolina so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think South Carolina has all the pieces. They have the mentality. They understand what it takes. I think to Dawn Staley's point about working on offensive execution is what got McKeer fouls Jazzy Davidson. You know, when you get into a game like you do against the Texas in their matchups, now all of those tight ball games until the SEC championship, they are going to lock you down. You are going to be forced to play in the quarter court, to really work your offense, to get the best shot, to find the right play. And so you got to continue to work on that. Like right now, it looks easy for them. They're able to do what they do best. But when you're not able to, what do you go to? Who do you go to? And do you feel confident and comfortable being able to execute in those situations? I think that's just a growth area. Like, this is an entirely new core group on the floor. Yes, Joyce Edwards came off the bench and played last year. Raven Johnson, the only returning starter. Everybody in a new role, finding the comfort zone. Young players that are making an impact like that one right there.
Ncaa with a chance at a three-point play, fouled by Davidson.
I mean, so you're putting Ncaa in a situation that she could be in, right? She's not a point guard. Dawn Staley challenging her to be a primary ball handler right now, really working on things with her team, and that's just a great job of a straight line drive.
Dawn Staley kept using the word patient with us offensively. I know we've touched on it a little bit tonight, but what does that look like against the elite competition?
I mean, it looks like you've got to be patient enough to get to second, third, sometimes fourth action. Get second, third, sometimes fourth side. You know, there are going to be teams that you play, and there are going to be matchups that you have where, yes, you can create your own shot one-on-one, but not against great teams.
Nice strip for the three from Malia Samuels. A little juice for Southern Cal, closing out the third quarter. 4 subs in the game here for South Carolina, along with Tania Latson. Pujols couldn't hit, and a foul on the loose ball rebounding action goes against South Carolina, rather. So final 25 seconds in the third belong to Southern Cal. Kennedy Smith had it ripped away by Tania Latson. Another strip and score for Latson. London Jones, no. And we will head to the fourth quarter. Start the fourth, and she was trying to have some fun too.
A little bit, not enough to let coach see her.
Okay.
So you just called her out.
To dancing to teach me how to dance.
Yeah, she was just shaking a little bit.
Coach Staley, if you're watching this game back on film in the future, don't listen to what we just said. Joyce Edwards with the offensive long rebound, and Tania Latson tied up on the block.
Certainly a bright future ahead.
We watched Juju Watkins shoot a bunch of threes on the court today. I think she's going to shoot it really well next year.
I mean, look, she's generational. Juju Watkins and what she has done in her early in her young career as Medina O'Cott continues to go to work is really special. And I think when you get an opportunity, even though nobody wants to be sidelined, when you get an opportunity to see the game in a different way, when you get an opportunity to now be a leader for this team from the sideline. Jazzy Davidson talked to us about how important Juju Watkins' leadership and confidence and helping her navigate the ups and downs has been, and I think she's going to come back hungrier than ever.
Lindsey Gottlieb shared this weekend that there was a moment over the summer back in the training room where Lindsey Gottlieb kind of allowed herself to just reflect, and she said something to the effect to Juju Watkins of, man, what could have been this season. And Juju Watkins looked at her coach straight in the eye and said, Coach, it wasn't our time.
Yeah.
When it's our time, it'll be our time, and it will be next year. Latson against Davidson. Good block by Jazzy Davidson, standing tall. And then Latson the pickpocket. Right back. 12 points, 4 steals for Ncaa Latson. Five years with this program. Don Staley has said of all the players she has coached, she will miss Raven Johnson the most.
She's going to be getting a lot of text messages from her former players right now.
Coach, what about me?
What about me? What about me? Well, Raven Johnson's been special. We said it. You know, all she's done is win. Her game has continued to improve. She's been a great floor manager and leader for this team and this program.
See on the left side of her neck, she's got a tattoo there. It says patience. She told us today she got it this past summer, and she thinks it typifies her career. She told us, I've been through so many low points in my career. You know, getting waved at by Iowa on that big stage. She said that for her was the lowest point, and she feels like she has come out the other side of it and is playing the best basketball of her life. And Medina Ncaa checks out as well.
And look, sometimes it takes that. You know, I think every human being, but certainly every athlete, you know, has had those moments where you just get knocked on your butt, right? Like you get humbled. The game will humble you, and we've all been through that in some way, shape, or form. And she used that as motivation, and then found success in winning a championship, and then again, you know, coming back. And Don Staley said maybe celebrated a little too long, right? Coming back and not having the year that she wanted a year ago, and just I think understanding and growing and learning the consistency that it takes to be great. There aren't moments off. There aren't days off. And she's become a leader for this team and program.
And Raven Johnson appreciates the work done by the mop gang at midcourt. Agat McGeer sat down, maybe to tie a shoe, and then they needed the mop crew out. So the crowd very much enjoyed that here in Columbia. 6+ minutes to go in the fourth. A convincing South Carolina effort on a day that has been stocked with good second-round games in the Ncaa tournament. Another three for Jazzy Davidson, who has shot it really well over these last 3 days.
And I love how she's continuing to compete. She's continuing to compete. She's continuing to be a good teammate. And look, Jazzy Davidson is already special, but she's going to be really special. When you put her on the floor with Juju Watkins, somebody who can take a little bit of pressure off of her to be the one on the offensive end of the floor, she's going to continue to take huge strides forward.
If you were writing up an off-season training plan of player development for Jazzy Davidson, what would it look like this season?
I think first and foremost, she's got to get stronger. You know, she's got to get stronger. She's had to play with the ball in her hands a lot this season. So working a little bit off the ball, because Juju's going to have the ball in the hands as well, and utilizing them both. You know, I think she's outstanding at slashing to the rim. Teams are going to continue to push her right. She's going to work on that right hand, continue to work on that three-point consistency. We've seen her flourish here in the inside. And then I think she's got size and length that if she gets guarded by smaller players, she can take them down low, work a little bit of post action. But she's going to be a tough matchup right now. And I absolutely love that she is already an elite two-way player. Because a lot of young players don't come into this ball game really hungry on the defensive end.
She's made an imprint on both ends of the floor for Lindsey Gottlieb. We saw it, especially in the first round win against Clemson. Mendez got fouled by Alicia Tornabese. Yeah, how's it all going to blend together next year? Juju Watkins, Jazzy Davidson, and those freshmen that are coming in to USC. #1 recruit in the country, Sanaya Hall. So you're going to have 3 of the last 4 #1 recruits in the country. Mendez to the line. Hey, for the 6th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more info, go to ncaa.com. Reminder, don't go anywhere. We are approaching the final game of the opening weekend. 8 seed Oklahoma State at 1 seed UCLA still to come to close down a basketball-packed 4 days in the tourney. Miriam Dowda couldn't knock down the three. London Jones pulls. And a foul on the rebounding action. Goes against South Carolina. USC facing the end of the road here against the three-time champs. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
A veteran team, an experienced team, and a team that has stayed together. You know, retaining players is tough nowadays in NIL, and they've retained the core and are hungry for a championship.
One loss all season. That was to Texas back in November. Meantime, here in Columbia, South Carolina, 4.5 to go for Jazzy Davidson and the Trojans in their season. Kara Dunn, a miss at the line. South Carolina running the floor. Miriam Dowda, the catch, and a chance at three.
Gamecocks here has done a really good job of throwing those pass aheads, and Miriam Dowda, good rim run. That's a tough catch. I love how into it this crowd still is.
In average attendance, the fans in Columbia. My first trip here, it was awesome being here for a few days.
It is. It's loud, everybody's involved. They love their Gamecocks.
Kennedy Smith swirled one out. And Tanaya Latson tracks it down with 4 minutes to go for South Carolina. Isla McDowell for Dowda. Tornavies, Dowda, got it in a foul again. Really cool for Miriam Dowda to have.
Voting for her, and you mentioned it, just how beloved she is by this team, by this program, and getting an opportunity now to step on the floor and to continue to make an impact.
Jazzy Davidson, the offensive rebound. Jones connects from three. But Don Staley has said that compared to anyone on the roster, she'd probably hire Miriam Dowda faster than anyone for a job in the real world. They love what she brings to this team and how good a teammate she is.
But we want to put off the real world for as long as possible.
Yes, please. Still trying to do that over here.
Right. Every day we get to do that, right?
Sure do. So South Carolina will head to Sacramento. Remember that SEC championship game that Molly mentioned at the top of the game? That decided who got the third 1 seed. So Texas won that game. And so Texas will get to be in Fort Worth. Not too far, of course, from Austin. And South Carolina's got to head to the Northwest in Sacramento. McDowell around the screen. And the rebound down to Rosha Tite. McDowell the intercept. And that's a foul called on Kennedy Smith. So Kennedy Smith fouls out with 2:49 to go. She's got a bright future as well next year. We're talking with Lindsay Gottlieb today about how the roster projects for next year. Of course, Another high-powered recruit in Kennedy Smith, once upon a time 6th in the country. She'll be a junior next year, part of that group. By the way, 17 steals in this game for South Carolina. Just incredible defensively. Most they've ever had in an NCAA tournament game. Jones, deep three, got it. 2 in a row for London Jones. Got McKeer around and out. Jones the loose ball. Three in a row for London Jones, and she got 5 threes in total tonight.
Well, that's what she does, and she struggled in that first round matchup from the floor and struggled tonight up until late.
Bodies crashing on the rebounding action, and we get a foul with 1:53 to go. Third foul on Jones. So Isla McDowell goes to the free throw line. 2 pretty dominant games for South Carolina overall. 16 seed Southern, now the 9 seed USC.
Well, look, they had a little bit of time to think about that loss in the SEC championship game, and like Dawn Staley said, get back to really working on some things that we need to work on. And you know, nobody wants to lose heading into the NCAA tournament, but sometimes that gives you the fire that you need. You know, sometimes you need a little dose of humility, right? And get back to not get back to the drawing board necessarily, but get back to taking care of some of the slippage. Understand the sense of urgency that you need. And they certainly looked in these first 2 games like they're on a mission. I mean, you see the banners right there. It's not easy to win championships. There's a commitment every day to how you prepare to put yourself in a position to win.
And a moment of appreciation for Dawn Staley. We talk about her so glowingly, but you can sometimes forget how remarkable a job it is. Before she arrived here, this program had been past the 2nd round of the tournament only 3 times. They've hit the century mark again. First time they've ever done it in NCAA tournament history, where twice they go 100 plus. Get a kick ball here with a $1:26 to go.
Well, I mean, Dawn Staley's put her mark on this program, taken it to another level and kept it there. SEC titles, SEC tournament titles, national championships. And I love that competitive fire that she played with.
That's a foul called on South Carolina on an illegal screen. We're talking about with Dawn Staley and South Carolina. And by the way, life's pretty good for Dawn Staley. We saw her dog Champ here at shoot around today. Those 2 are living the dream.
Champ is definitely living the dream.
Just running around on the court here in Columbia. That was awesome. Iwuchukwu, the finish from Mendez. 45 seconds to go. A reminder, don't go anywhere. We will get you out west. UCLA, another 1 seed in action, part of 3 straight here over a 6-hour stretch to close out your Monday night. They square off in a 2nd round game against 8 seed Oklahoma State. Alicia Tornabis lost the handle, and it goes back to Southern Cal. So it'll be South Carolina and Oklahoma in Sacramento in the Sweet 16. A rematch from a late January game that Oklahoma won in overtime. Some heroics, like you said, from Aaliyah Chavez. And another trip to a Sweet 16 for South Carolina. The Gamecocks were great again, and they advance to the Sweet 16.